What is up, survivors? We're back with another mod review, and for today's mod review we're going to be going over the Drakenore Beastiary mod. Now this has a small creature mod, but apparently a lot of plans coming out for this, so let's dive right into it. What this is going to add is some awesome, as we can see, some awesome Equus creature variants, sort of, right? Now we have three that are very elemental themed, obviously, but then we also have this very necrotic undead looking one over here called the Verbile. These are all Destrier, I guess is the name, how you pronounce it. But we have a Noxious, a Frostbite, and a Nether. And we'll talk about how all those work and how this plays into it. It's kind of tricky the way you tame these guys, but we'll get into everything. You'll have two different crafting stations that you'll be able to make. You'll have the Altar of Restoration, and then you also have the Magic Station. Both of those are crafted on your inventory, it seems like. Standardly, it looks like the Altar of Restoration gets crafted. Oh, I have GCM on, so it's a bit different, but typically it'll get crafted off of this Magic Station. Magic Station's unlocked at level 40. It does require crystal, metal, spark powder, and a little bit of wood to make it. It's pretty straightforward. It looks cool. Start with that though. This table looks awesome. Other nice thing about this table is that it does work as a mortar and pestle as well, like chem bench, so you get all that cool stuff too, right? You have the option to make that Altar of Restoration, but then like I said, you could also make all of your mortar and pestle ingredients too, so it's kind of a one-stop shop for both. Predominantly for this mod though, you'll be working out of the necromancy section. You'll be able to make these altars, and then you'll also be able to make these heartstones. We'll talk about how those all work, and that's basically sort of the taming process for these guys. I had superstructures running so I could run dino scans to see where the dinos were spawning and test some things out, but these are the four variants that you're going to find. Now technically you're going to make these three. I know it sounds a little weird, but that's going to how it's going to work. This is the guy you're going to find at perusing around in the neighborhood. So the Revile Destrier. You'll typically find them where you'll find other Equus, right? So if you see a crowd of Equus, chances are you might find one of these guys in here. These are important for a couple different reasons. Now, they seem a little weird. I think they're a little bit bigger than an Equus. They seem a little weird. You're going to hear like noxious flies. They're almost like kind of like an undead horse, essentially, is what we're kind of looking at here. You have your normal right-click hoof attack, and then you have the kick attack in the back. It looks like C just does like a stomp attack as well. Now, the C key will be different on the elemental guys. I'll show you that too. That'll do like an actual elemental attack depending on which one you're using. It's like a little AoE attack that they get, but they move pretty much like a normal Equus does. Saddles for these guys, as of right now, they come with saddles on them with no way to adjust them, so they have a higher armor, I think, to compensate for that, because you're not going to be able to find a better saddle for them originally. But for right now, you end up with a pretty decently high saddle. Their stats are pretty good, pretty comparable to an Equus, but a bit higher health, and the melee damage is a little up to be honest with you. But a beefy Equus is pretty much what we're looking at here as far as their base stats go. The sculpts look great. I think this is wild to me. Like the whole undead zombie horse looking thing is pretty cool, and you'll find these in the wild like this, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty interesting to see that. And like I said, you'll see them with packs of Equus, and they will clearly stand out. Let's talk about our other three as well. Coming over here. So they all kind of operate the same with the exception of their special attack and obviously their looks, right? So the Noxious one is a very like poison-esque sort of thing. Kind of the elemental traits you see in like the wyverns a little bit too. So the difference with these guys, you still have the same hoof attack and the kick attack, but then you have a C attack which will do like a puff of this like poison dust. It's kind of like it's kind of like the impact of the poison missile from like a poison wyvern basically. That's pretty much it as far as how this guy works. Of course, I really like the sculpt on these guys too. This looks there's a lot of detail that went into this. They look really neat. I'm really digging it. Sometimes I get a little, okay, it's just a horse mod, but these actually look pretty neat. I'd be curious to see if we see this done with other creatures out of this mod, not just horses. That'd be really interesting. It would make for a really fun, like, total conversion sort of style mod, right? Like all the different animals that are out there with these crazy little abilities to make them even better. So let's do our Frostbite one. Same thing. You have the same attacks. Your C attack does a frost like little puff cloud sort of thing. It does look like it's a couple second charge, but this is very much reminiscent of any sort of like basic AoE attack, but you have a frozen elemental attack as well. Stats seem pretty much identical with each other. I summoned these in at a higher level, not really thinking about it, but the stats are pretty much they're identical across the board between these guys. Your Nether, this one, actually, you know what? I want to go back and look at the sculpt of this ice guy. He looks pretty legit too. Like a, I don't know, something like they would have wrote on like Game of Thrones, kind of. Yeah. Brush your teeth there, buddy. You're getting a little rough. Anyway. Nether, same thing. I like how you have like the hot like the vapors coming off of him because he's so hot compared to the other temperature, which is pretty cool. Same thing. See attack, fireball. Pretty cut and dry. Same primary attack, same secondary attacks. These are pretty cool. The other thing I did notice is that they do not seem to have a gender, so you're not going to be able to breed them or anything like that, which isn't too much of a big deal. It looks like they... Does he run across the water? He does. They run across the top of the water. Is that a thing? I didn't even test that out. I've been playing around with these guys for a little bit now. I didn't even think about trying to swim them. Oh my goodness. Wow, I feel like a big dumb dummy. That is super cool. I got like this. I'm like freezing the water as I'm running across it. This is gnarly. So these guys can run across the water. I gotta go back and check the poison one out too. This is cool. Okay. I've literally been playing with this for like two and a half hours, like just messing around with it, and I didn't even think to ride these guys. I feel like a big idiot now. Wow. All right, let's try you hat down. Now I gotta know. Well, I'm still in K mode. That's embarrassing. Let's turn around. Okay. Do you run across? No, you do not. You don't. Okay, so those two run across the water. This guy does not. That's interesting. What about the undead one? Huh? What about you? It's fine. Nope. You swim as well. Okay. All right. Well, that's different. So the frostbit and the nether can actually fly across the water. I think that's pretty cool. Huh. Learn something new every day. Every day you learn something new. All right, so let's go back and talk about how you're going to actually get these guys, right? So the only one that's going to spawn on the map, like I said, is this Revile. Those are the only ones that are going to spawn. Those are the ones you're going to go after. Essentially, you're going to kill them. You have a percentage chance to get heartstones from these guys when you kill them. You're going to take these heartstones and go into your necromancy tab, and you're going to be able to make the certain element that you're trying to make depending on the creature that you're trying to get, right? So if you're trying to find a Revile heartstone, if you're trying to make, let's say, a noxious one, you're going to need the pure heartstone and then Megalani Toxin Titan Bow Venom, slap it on there, and you'll be able to craft it, and it'll make it for you, right? So that is how this stuff works. From there, we walk over to this restoration thinger, we toss this guy in here, and it will start to do its own thing. It'll make it, and it'll walk out to you. Now, thing that I can't seem to understand, I think it's random, I don't know. I also have to, I'm dealing with normal level caps in here, so it could be that, but we see as this guy coming out at a level 67, right? Oop, I don't want to name you SSSSSS, that's weird. Okay, so it definitely seems like it goes off of whatever your level charts are in your game, because these are consistently coming out at level 67. But at any rate, that's how that works. You take the stones, you throw them on the altar, and then it makes the critter that you're trying to get. I think the interesting thing to do would be, well, I was about to say maybe you could make a farm out of these with the Reviles, but I don't think you can because you need the pure heartstones in order for that to work. So you need to constantly hunt down the Reviles. There's no option around that. You guys need to calm down, stop moving around. You constantly have to hunt down these Reviles. Hunt these guys down. You can make them if you want to. You'll have the option to do that, but predominantly you're going to need their heartstones in order to make everything else. Killing tame ones doesn't seem to work, so I don't know. I mean, it does and it doesn't. Like, it's very rare that it actually gave me the ingredients that I needed. However, it doesn't. It's kind of counterproductive because either way you need the stones, even just to make the Revile. So you're probably better off hunting normal ones. I mean, maybe if you could clone them, maybe. I mean, if you're trying to make a farm, maybe you could clone a bunch of them, do it that way. That would be the only worthwhile way of doing that I could think of. But honestly, you're just better off hunting these guys out and taking them out. So that's pretty much what's going on here. This is interesting. I've seen a lot of different, specifically horse mods, and I've always been kind of like, I don't know. It just seems like I hate just focusing on one creature type while ignoring a bunch else, because it doesn't really feel like it fits into the game when we do that. But because they have other animals planned, at least it looks like it from the workshop page, I would be curious to see if they do this with a lot of other different creature types. Now, if they could manage to pull this off with a lot of other different creature types and sort of unify it across the board, then I would be all about it, because I think that would be an interesting concept. You could, like I said, you could almost turn that into sort of a weird total conversion if you really wanted to go down the road. And it's not too far off from that when we look at it. But for me personally, I think the sculpts look fantastic. I think they look great. There's clearly been a bit of time that's been spent into these guys, and I think they look great. They have the cool little sound effects going with them as well. Like I said, I'd be curious to see if we could see other animals like this. Nobody has an awesome kangaroo mod out, and I just want to talk about that for a second. We need one. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Drakenore Beastiary. So, as always, we will have a link to the Steam Workshop page in the description of the video so you guys can check this one out. Thank you for watching. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you all on the next one.